But Simon, you wanted to talk about long tail optionality. That's not like a cat question. That is a market question. It's not whether you get a short cat tail. What is long tail optionality? Where are we going with this one as I get a little silly here?
Well, these are moonshots, Dan. These are the swings for the fences that companies are taking out there. And, we were talking about Max just a second ago. He's a fantastic biotechnology analyst. He's also great at coming up with fantastic quotes. So, Max, I want to pass along to you that I appreciate one of your quotes you recently came up with, which is that we're always talking about how companies are missing analyst earnings estimates. But that's not really the case, right? Those earnings estimates are missing the reality of how companies are performing. And so we've got some incredibly innovative leaders out there. We've got Jeff Bezos, we've got Elon Musk, we've got Larry Page, and they're not managing their businesses on a quarter-to-quarter basis. And Dan, I know we're going to be talking a little bit about big tech earnings later in the program, but in this segment, I wanted to talk a little bit about the big swings that some of those most innovative companies are taking, and what that's going to mean for investors.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hit us with what Amazon is doing in India first.
Yeah, and so Jeff Bezos, a big fan of moonshots. AWS, Amazon Web Services, was kind of one of those long tail optionality projects for them at one point. Now it's an incredibly important part of the business. The next big thing that I see that Amazon should be getting into right now is their investments in India. And so what Jeff is doing is he's investing $6 billion into the country because he sees this opportunity for e-commerce in India's small mom and pop retail businesses. He wants to get them set up onto the platform. But in addition to that, Dan, he's going to be putting a lot of money to work in building out the infrastructure, similar to like what we've seen in Amazon Prime here in the United States. So this is a big bet with big rewards potential for Amazon in India.
Now, is part of that because big players, and that's really Amazon and Walmart, dominate this market, and this is sort of like the third-party marketplace in the U.S. where you want to just get as much market share as you can?
Yes, this is a winner take most. And a lot of people will point out, hey, there's regulations in India. Hey, they don't want foreign companies coming in. They want to promote local businesses. Yes, that's true. But also Amazon is very, very good at this. And they've already shown an early lead in India. Amazon and Walmart's Flipkart, 80% of 2020's e-commerce share in India right now.
That is a massive number. Let's move on to another about to be massive. It's already massive, but it needs to be innovated. That's healthcare. Google is leading the way. A lot of companies are trying to figure this out, but Google is leading the way. Simon, what are they doing?
So we actually talk about moonshots kind of in reference to Google, Dan, because Google has a moonshots division, right? Google X is kind of created to take these big swings. One that's within that I'm really, really interested in is what I'm calling the unbundling of the doctor's office. Google, of course, has got so much work that they do in artificial intelligence, and the next big frontier they want to unleash that on is the healthcare industry. And so you look at some of the different segments of what they've been doing in healthcare. They've got a chronic diagnostics group. So Verily has contact lenses that can actually monitor glucose in diabetic patients. They've got Onduo, which is the virtual clinic for diabetics to check in online. This is a whole bunch of data that they're getting continually from that. Fitbit, an acquisition that they've been trying to close for the last year, Dan. Google really wants to have those continual updates about a patient and how their fitness is and how their health is looking. So that's kind of like a primary care doctor checking in on you. And of course, patient data, they're working with Ascension Health, which is an electronic healthcare record that Google is unbundling from those paper manila folders you had behind the desk at the hospital to Google just kind of packaging all this together and unleashing its AI on it. As long as they can control the data privacy and security that patients have that are so important in this industry, Google is really making some big strides in healthcare right now. This is something I think investors should definitely be keeping an eye on.
Simon, we're going to move on to Tesla in a second, but I'm going to throw a challenge out to the 7 investing nation, the 7 investing family that's watching. At our Twitter, that's at 7 investing, share with us, use the hashtag Moonshot, and share with us at 7 investing what would be in a moonshot. Like, let's assume this is a drink, it's a shot. What is it? I feel like it's whiskey and Guinness, but I don't know that would mix so well together. But I want to know, I'll put this up on our Twitter after the show. What's a moonshot? Share us your recipes. We will give a winner on the next show. Simon, and I know Max wants to weigh in on this too. Tesla they're an innovative company. They're always doing amazing things. It's a little bit hard to separate the wheat from the chaff a little bit with the way Elon Musk talks. I mean, maybe he'll live on Mars next month. Maybe he'll tell us how to pronounce his kid's name. But right now, batteries are a major part of the story. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, so we talked about Battery Day a couple of months ago. We had a team call about it here, Dan. We broadcast that actually out on Restream, which was pretty fun.
I watched it.
One of the biggest topics was batteries, as you would expect from something called Battery Day. But what Tesla has announced is that they're expecting a 56% reduction in the capital expenditures per kilowatt hour of production of their batteries. So no surprise, they're building gigafactories all across the entire world right now. They're going to get a bigger bang for their buck in terms of the cost of producing those batteries. And they actually believe with some changes in the manufacturing process and the design of the batteries themselves, they can actually get this down to a 69% reduction in the cost per kilowatt hour from where batteries are today. And so what does that tell us? What did Moore's law teach us about silicon conductors that's now applicable to the battery industry? This is going to open doors to a whole lot more volume and a whole lot more consumer opportunities. One of the big things could be energy storage for consumer retail electric markets all across the entire country. And let's not forget that Elon Musk himself has said that Tesla believes the energy business will ultimately be as large, if not larger, than its vehicle business. And so batteries and like power production and all of these things, we don't talk about that as much as Tesla's current vehicle lineup. But this is something that's definitely on their radar. Investors should be considering because it's going to open a lot of doors in the future.
So, Simon, I'm going to come back to you in a second, but Max, you asked me before the show. You wanted to weigh in on this. So I assume you have something to say here?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, with what Tesla's doing in batteries is very important. And I think because it's such a popular company and stock, not a lot of people really understand it very well. But, so a lot of investors look at, well, lithium prices are this. Isn't that going to affect batteries? And the reality is it's called a lithium ion battery, but it's like a few percent of the actual cost of the battery. It's actually like one of the least expensive things in the lithium ion battery. But, the things that Tesla's doing with the manufacturing processes or how it's just completely reimagining how to make a battery. It was talking about instead of, putting cells into battery packs and then putting battery packs into cars, and then it's like this separate thing from the car. In the future, it's going to be able to just put the cells into the frame of the car. So it's actually going to add structural stability. And another thing that they're looking at is adding silicon to the anodes in the battery. So, again, this is like, we talk about this often in biotech, Simon. There's so many things that I think people say, too hard, and they throw it in that basket and they walk away, or they invest and they don't really know what they're getting into. But the fact that Tesla's experimenting with silicon in batteries is very important. It could increase the lithium capacity or the ability to shuttle lithium ions in a battery by a factor of 9 from what we use today. So
hey, I've been saying add silicon to the anodes just kidding.
Dan's been on this for so long.
Let me throw this back to Simon. So I looked at putting solar panels in at our vacation place. And besides that my HOA doesn't allow it, which is ridiculous, one of the reasons I decided not to do it, and I could have probably fought the HOA on that, is that where we are, the way our electrical grid is I wasn't allowed to store power. So I don't live there. In theory, I could have. How much do we need legislation to catch up before sort of some of these batteries and power issues are really giving the full benefits?
Yeah, so we went through subsidies for years, Dan. There were subsidies for the R&D work that improved the solar panel efficiency to make them more competitive with those that were coming from China as a first step. And then there was investment tax credits for companies that actually were going out there and deploying and putting those panels on rooftops. Now I think it's up to the states, Dan, because you've got renewable energy standards and different places around the country that are taking energy policy in their own hands and saying, hey, we really want to push for renewable energy. California now is saying all new buildings have to have solar panels on the rooftop. Hawaii, solar is already huge. We're going to see stuff like that as the efficiency gains have improved and as the tax credits have really made these more competitive. I think solar is a really big deal. Tesla was a little bit ahead of the market on this one. And I think that there was a lot of disappointment. We were talking about Solar City and the solar roof and the things that haven't worked out yet. But I don't think that Elon Musk is abandoning this. He's got it in his pocket. He's ready to deploy this when the market's ready, and that's going to happen on a state-by-state basis.
And Dan, there's some really weird, outdated regulations regarding utilities where you're not allowed to generate power on site at your house, or you're not allowed to have a battery, or you can only sell so much. You got to pay this weird fee every year. So it really reduces the economics. But as Simon said, the technology is getting better. It's not quite there yet economically, but once it's a no-brainer, then I think utilities will be more willing to spread that out to consumers.